Coming up, super reactors, more renewable winds as per usual, need to know information for people without a life plan, aka people like me, and some sound advice. Welcome to Total Nileation, your existential halftime. Pardon me, I just kicked a bag. You didn't need to know that. I am your host, Niall Sige, aka Optimus Prime. Please, welcome to the treehouse. Pull up a cushion. Maybe smoke some shisha. Listen to the sitar. I never had a treehouse. I'm going to keep elaborating until someone explains to me whether or not I'm accurate, whether or not I'm right on how treehouse life was. How are you? I hope you're well. I am doing all right myself. I'm a little annoyed right now because I just started recording, and it is as though our friends, our first responder friends, decided to turn on their sirens right now. There isn't even an emergency right now. I'm looking outside. They're just out on the lawn, just doing donuts with fire trucks, which, let's be real, is very impressive. Anyways, I hope you're well. Hope you're doing okay. I'm doing maybe. That's how I'm doing. Because right now, here's the thing. I don't know if you've ever experienced something like this, where right now I woke up this morning and I had like the beginning of a cold. So I am not sure. Like right now I'm feeling okay, but I know how these things go. Like it could hit me later and punch me in the face, and now I'm doing a summer cold, which sucks. It's a special kind of sucks. It really especially sucks because it's Pride Month. So that would just not be fun. But also, I mean, let's be real. Here's the other thing. Listen, I love Pride. I appreciate the sentiment, but it gives me that feeling of like New Year's Eve. You know, like you gotta do something. You gotta do something. It's Pride. What did you do with Pride? You didn't do anything with Pride? You went to the parade? I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, but if you know, feel free to drop me an email. Totalannihilation@gmail.com. So yes, I am conditionally well. Like if I don't get this cold, guys, I'm doing pretty good. If I get this cold, it's gonna suck. But listen, enough messing around. Let's just get to it. Let's just get to the good news items for which you are here. Here for you now is this episode's good news items from our home office in Finger, Manitoba. In a groundbreaking leap for clean energy innovation, Chinese scientists have successfully refueled a thorium-fueled molten salt reactor without shutting it down, a world first. This achievement, led by Zhu Hongji, I hope I'm not butchering that too badly. I don't know. I probably am. Here's the thing, though. Every Chinese-speaking person I've ever met, when I say Chinese name, they're always like, they're very, very polite. But then I get the feeling that's the way of it. Like when Anglophones butcher my name, I don't care. Niall Queen? Sure. I don't get upset. You know, so maybe that's how our Chinese friends feel about me saying Zhu Hongji. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that differently the second time. And his team at the Shanghai Institute of Applied Physics, I'm not going to try to pronounce it again, marks a major milestone in nuclear energy development. The team not only revived decades-old research, mastered the existing knowledge, but pushed the technology further, building a safe, low-waste reactor that operates efficiently in the harsh environment of the Gobi Desert. So if you are like me and you held on to your Gobi Desert real estate, you are laughing. With thorium being more abundant and less weaponizable than uranium, the new system holds great promise for a sustainable low-carbon future. Even more exciting, China has begun constructing a larger 10-megawatt demonstration reactor aimed at producing both clean electricity and hydrogen by 2030. The molten salt technology's passive safety features, and high efficiency. Jeez, guys, I'm sorry. The molten salt technology's passive safety features and high efficiency also open the door to new applications, including long-distance shipping powered by thorium reactors. That is cool. I mean, obviously this is cool for the global reasons, you know, clean energy, fighting climate change. But it's also cool, like, I don't know. It feels like all of the old sci-fi would have some sort of nuclear powered vehicle that I would always like read about or watch and be like, that seems unlikely. But now we might have nuclear reactors in our cars. I feel like that's definitely. I feel like the big, as big as the challenge was of mastering the thorium nuclear reactor technology, I think a bigger challenge is going to be idiot proofing cars for people who you know what I'm saying. Like this that one guy's like, yeah, I modded out my reactor. I modded out my thorium reactor. It's like, oh no, oh no. Um, while technical challenges remain, the optimism from researchers is palpable. Thick, thick, viscous optimism. I'm sorry, that's gross. This breakthrough positions China and the world at the dawn of a cleaner, safer nuclear age, offering hope for major strides in both energy sustainability and climate action. Isn't it? I would love to hear from one of you to let me know if this is just starting to get repetitive. Because it's just, I've said it before, I will say it again, I'm sure, the amount of positive, really good news about renewable energies is relentless. Relentless. All right, moving on. This is a non-renewable energy one because at one point you got to break it up. And an historic breakthrough for personalized medicine, a baby named KJ has become the first person to receive a custom-built in vivo CRISPR gene editing therapy tailored specifically to correct his unique genetic mutation. Why would you name your kid a Backstreet Boy name? Maybe that's like for an anonymity. Okay, I'll move on. I'll move on. Diagnosed shortly after birth with CPS1 deficiency, a rare and life-threatening disorder that prevents the body from processing ammonia, KJ's condition was initially so severe that doctors feared he wouldn't survive his first week. Thanks to the quick work of a collaborative medical team and a fast-tracked FDA approval, KJ received 3 doses of the pioneering treatment at just 6 months old. Today, he's off most of his medication, eating a more typical diet, and hitting key development milestones like sitting up and waving, signs that he's not just surviving, but thriving. Gonna be real, I'm not aging well, or at least not as well as I'd like. And sometimes sitting up and waving also qualifies as thriving for me. This is amazing. There's so much about this to unpack. First of all, I didn't know we processed ammonia. Good for me. Sure. But this is also exciting and interesting. How do they manage to fast track? Is that how they get it past? Fucking Robert Kennedy Jr. now? Do you just kind of fast track something? Maybe Robert Kennedy Jr. will actually cause great advancements in medicine in the United States because everyone at the FDA is going to be like, as soon as they get it, you can't fuck around with the application because you're like, we cannot let that crazy old man find out about this. Hurry, hurry! Look, he's doing pull-ups. Quick, quick! Rubber stamp the shit and get it out. Okay, quickly! He's almost finished his hammer curls. He's gonna want to know what we're up to. Jesus. Moving on. Although his doctors remain cautious about declaring a cure, KJ's transformation has sparked hope for the future of gene editing therapies. With donated labor, public funding, and a united scientific front, underscore, that's me saying that, by the way, it wasn't underscored. The process was made faster and more affordable, an encouraging sign for future treatments. Researchers believe that what was once a last resort, one-of-a-kind intervention could eventually become standard care for rare diseases as techniques improve and costs decline, which I think is the way this normally goes, right? I'm blanking. Of course, I wanted to give an example of a therapy that is now just commonplace, but that at the time was like, left field, super expensive. For some reason, my brain is stuck on casts, which I'm pretty sure was never that. Pretty sure we got to casts pretty quickly, actually. Perhaps the most inspiring of all, KJ is now preparing to go home for the first time and reunite with his family, proof that science, speed, and compassion can rewrite even the most daunting prognosis. The other thing I wanted to mention about this is because it was a CRISPR story. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember, but when CRISPR first came out, wow, people were freaking the fuck out. People were like, oh my God, everyone basically was this. Everybody read like the headline and first paragraph of a BuzzFeed article, if that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the BuzzFeed article was a headline and a paragraph, and then they would just all freaked out. And they're like, oh my God, this could be used to do terrible things to humans. And I can't even remember what the narrative was, but it was surreal and everyone was freaking out. And it was really like, oh my God, people are already using CRISPR to splice their genes or whatever. And it was funny because you could probably tell if you were a science person, you could probably tell Niall has no idea what he's talking about right now. But I can assure you, neither did these people. Anyways, point is, as per usual, minds always went to the darkest, worst case scenario. Just the like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And here we have this. This is what we're doing with CRISPRs. So calm down. Not everyone is garbage. I know you want to believe that, but it's not even close to true. What else? Quick refresher, in case you are feeling bummed about our climate change progress, super nerd Nathaniel Bullard points out how we consistently underestimate how fast we can and do roll out renewable energy. I mentioned this a few episodes ago, so I'm pretty sure, Nathaniel, you're just listening to this podcast and just fucking ripping me off. That's fine. Just spread the good news. I don't give a shit. He had a table. He made a table. Well, he probably didn't make it. I think he got it from the IEA, the International Energy Agency. But basically shows in 2010, the IEA projected that we would have, this makes me laugh, 250 gigawatts of solar energy by 2035. We hit 600 last year. I sincerely hope that if someone didn't get fired over that, at least they got reprimanded. At least there was a notation at their like 3-month review and they didn't get the raise. Because come on, like, what can you make a mistake at your job where your projections undershoot by like 1,000,000,000%? I think I'm just saying at some point, I don't know. Like, I appreciate the International Energy Association agency, pardon me, not association, trying to measure expectations and be cautious, but that's insane. You were off by more than 100%, more than that, because that's by 2035, not 2025. Anyways, what else can I say? Oh, here's a little something. Shout out to Pakistan. In a quiet but astonishing turn, Pakistan, and I shouldn't have this. This is my Western news bias that I'm so shocked. But Pakistan has emerged, pardon me, as a global clean energy leader, importing a staggering 22 gigawatts of solar panels in 2024 alone, more than Canada's total installed solar capacity. That it hurt to read that. It hurts to speak it into the world. That is just, it's fucking embarrassing. Not as a knock on Pakistan, but more as just this, we could afford it and we don't. It's embarrassing. God. This unexpected surge wasn't driven by massive subsidies or grandstanding climate pledges, but by economic pragmatism, easy for me to say, and quiet institutional progress. Pakistan's streamlined tariffs enabled net metering and let market forces do the rest, which is something that always makes me nervous to say, but it worked in this case. This transformation reflects not just a solar boom, but a deeper shift from energy insecurity and fossil fuel dependence toward distributed renewable solutions that are both economically and environmentally sound. Like that little paragraph had a lot of meat in it, or had a lot of tofu if, like me, you don't eat a lot of meat. But this is, it's a lot of things. Like it's this, again, we tend to be like, freaking out, world is burning. But let's not forget that these places in the world, like the Pakistans or the countries that are not as well off as we are, they're not NPCs. They're like, I got a country that I love my country. I'm gonna do something to help my country, and they do it, and they handle some shit. But also, you know, it's a lot. First of all, I love this. I love this for Pakistan because moving to renewables takes away the obvious dependence on fossil fuels, which now you can use that money for other stuff like taking care of your people, infrastructure, human capital, which let's not kid ourselves, that again, more people in the chat, more better shit down the pipeline. That's the equation that is never fails. And so that's one part of it. And then the other part is this thing of like, these poor countries, these countries that don't have as much as we do. At some point, with the way things are going with renewables, if we aren't there already, by the way, I'm pretty sure we're almost there. It's just a better move. It's just financially a better move. So you don't even have to freak out. We're so used to, oh my God, there's no incentive, there's no incentive. But now there is incentive. So at least in this respect, it's looking good. It's looking good. From warehouses to farms, everyday Pakistanis are powering up with solar and batteries, proving that clean energy revolutions don't have to be flashy to be effective. Which says a lot there, because I think let's be real, like we, I mean Canada, probably America a bit. And I feel like we like to talk a lot at this point. We're into that sort of, I don't know, that social proof, that virtue signaling. We're a lot of talk and not a lot of walk right now. Not as much walk as we should have, because we're getting fucking dummied by all of these countries that are doing so much more for renewables that don't have the same means that we do. This is embarrassing, bro. All right. What makes Pakistan's story so hopeful is that it didn't begin from strength. It began from crisis. Decades of conflict, instability, and energy shortages didn't stop progress. They made it essential. With modest emissions per capita and limited historical responsibility for climate change, Pakistan could have opted out. Instead, it leaned in, embracing a grassroots electrical vehicle transition, ambitious reforestation, and even a cautious green hydrogen strategy. And just to say it, I feel like all of your hydrogen strategies should be cautious. I feel like cautious and hydrogen should always be together. You don't want to be the country with a run and gun hydrogen strategy. It's going to be brief. It's going to be a really short run and gun. Kind of like, I like to freestyle my hydrogen strategy. This pivot is part of a broader regional trend of post-crisis resilience. It's resilience, by the way. It's not resiliency. NBA commentators in the playoffs drive me fucking nuts. Resilience and governance maturity. Against all odds, Pakistan is not just responding to climate change, it's taking the lead in crafting a cleaner, more stable future. It's a reminder that big leaps don't always come from the usual suspects. That's us. And that meaningful change can grow quietly, persistently, and from the ground up. So bear that in mind. Bear that in mind. There's a whole bunch of good shit that's happening right now that you're not hearing about because we don't cover it. I was going to say we don't cover countries that aren't in the West, but that's not true because we don't cover Mexico. I don't think we count Mexico as the West. Let's just say we don't count white countries. We don't count non-white countries. We count Canada, the US, Australia, and Europe, and maybe a bit of those Slavic countries. That's the West. We like to say that because it's easier than, well, it's cleaner than saying white. Speaking of white, in a striking move toward democratizing clean energy, Utah's legislature has unanimously passed a bipartisan bill. Sorry, let me finish my point. Because it's not white. I got excited by that segue because it's not white. And the other reason is because it's just starting. It's just starting. Like this has been a slow burn. We didn't, there's a whole bunch of good stuff that people are trying right now or just starting or pushing. And they're out there sweating. Nobody's giving them any credit, any props. They're just doing it just to do it. And it's lonely, but they believe in what they're doing. And 10 fucking years from now, we are all going to benefit from it. It's that small, it's that 20%, I made that number up, that just grind. They're just fucking nerds. They nerd hard. They find the thing. They fixate. They're like, this is the right thing. I'm going to do it. It's going to be a thing. And then I get to sit here and talk about it like I'm somehow involved. All right, moving on. In a striking move, I'm just going to reread the story from the beginning, toward democratizing clean energy, Utah's legislature has unanimously passed a bipartisan bill that would allow small plug-in solar systems to be connected directly to standard 120-volt wall outlets without the burdensome paperwork of traditional interconnection processes. In a related story, I somehow was not able to come up with a Mormon joke here. Are you kidding me? How crazy is it's democratizing energy, Utah, silver underwear, Jesus in America. There's got to be something there, right? There's got to be nothing. Fuck. I think maybe it's this cold I might be kind of coming down with. Probably not. By waiving utility approval fees and extra technical requirements, the legislation opens the door for everyday homeowners and renters to participate in the energy transition with minimal costs and complexity. The systems must meet strict safety standards, including NEC and UL certification, and include automatic shutoff features for grid safety, which I'm not mad at that. I feel like, yeah, let's make sure. That's a weird thing to include. Yes, for the love of God, have strict safety standards. Anyone who thinks there shouldn't be strict safety standards on something like this, hop on TikTok for 10 minutes. 10 minutes of TikTok will be like, yeah, we need legislation. So this new law took effect in May, just last month, marking a bold step in making solar power more accessible and intuitive, particularly for people who have been traditionally excluded from rooftop solar due to high upfront costs or lack of roof control. The bill creates a clear regulatory pathway that could accelerate innovation in the growing market for small-scale portable solar, similar to what's already transforming energy landscapes in Germany with balcony solar. This is a policy aimed not at corporate giants, but at the individual, empowering more people to generate their own electricity safely and affordably, and lighting the way for other states to follow. Finally, some Americans pick a good thing to emulate from German history. Moving on, if you know, you know. Nigeria is taking a bold step towards solving its chronic electricity access challenges by championing interconnected mini-grids, IMGs, a scalable hybrid solution that combines solar power and batteries with the existing national grid. This is amazing. I love this. Sorry, I interrupted Reed. Having an emotional reaction. I honestly thought because of China, and of course, there you go. See, I'm doing exactly what I just accuse other people of doing. Because China has an imminent energy crisis that is working quite efficiently to solve. And of course, the grid, tweaking your grid, as the kids like to say at the raves, is a big issue. And my thought, of course, was, oh, well, China's going to come up with a grid fix and then it'll go to the rest of the world. But of course, fucking Nigeria's not hanging out waiting for China. Nigeria's handling this fucking business. With 150 million Nigerians still facing unreliable or non-existent electricity and households spending 12 billion annually on fossil fuel generators, the IMG model offers a transformative alternative. This is from a new report, Partnerships for Power, which is my band. No, Partnerships for Power, backed by developers, utilities, and the Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet. I like that. It's a nice name. And it highlights real world examples where these systems have improved power reliability, cut energy costs for communities, and opened up new revenue opportunities for utilities. It's a rare win win in the energy world, providing cleaner, more affordable electricity for Nigerians, improving grid performance, and creating new markets for developers. That feels like a win win win. That's three sides to that win right there, kiddos. The report also calls for stronger collaboration between developers and utilities, smarter project design, and financing structures that makes large-scale deployment more feasible by streamlining regulations, supporting skilled workforce development, and enabling large IMG capacities. Nigeria has a unique opportunity to leapfrog the traditional grid challenges and build a decentralized, resilient energy future. IMGs could deliver sustainable power to millions and position Nigeria as a leader in inclusive clean energy development. Wow. I literally just had this thought with how fast all of this is progressing. And by all of this, I mean all of the renewable stuff. I get the feeling like listening to this podcast about 10 years from now, specifically these episodes, going to feel so fucking dated because it's going to be like I'm talking about like ozone layer issues. I don't know if you guys remember. Is anyone old enough to remember that classic, the ozone layer? We were freaking out about that for about a year, and then they fixed it. Here's a little something before I continue. A little good news about the bad news. Guys, the good news is coming out too fast for me to include in the podcast. I know last episode I was just really talking about how amazing this episode was going to be. So I was going to cover all of the stuff. And this episode had some really good ones. But I didn't have enough time. This might be a time management thing. We'll see. I'm hoping that this week I'm going to have enough time to start working on the next episode so that I don't get jumped like this. And so that, I'm not like sweating through copy the day before I record the episode. But this is the good news. This is I'm just saying this is worth noting. The good news is coming out too fast for me to keep up with it. Like I kept some of the stories from the last episode that I alluded to because I was like, oh my God, these stories are great. I wasn't even able to include all of them. And then I'm still like behind on last week's good news stories. So there's a lot of good shit happening. I hope that helps your heart. Here's a little something that I would like to bring up. I mentioned the book Range. I finished reading Range. Fucking amazing book. Great book. Highly recommend, especially if you have kids, because it talks a lot about how do you even describe this? Anyways, but one of the things it mentions, just basically your life journey. Fuck, I sound like Gwyneth Paltrow. I sound exactly like her. Just like how your life journey and how it's not all of the stuff that we've been conditioned to believe on how to be successful isn't quite right. And so just calm down. And it's okay to be a generalist. And it's okay to not be on course. Specifically, I bring this up because of this. They mentioned something called the Dark Horse Project. It was a study done by Todd Rose and Ogi Ogas. Or is it Ogi Ojas? Or is it Ogi Ogas? Anyways, so these individuals studied high achievers to try to figure out like common variables and what their story was. And they expected when they were doing this, they expected only a few people to have like a meandering career path. They expected, like most of us do, to have like a lot of people who were like Tiger Woods, right? Fucking started when I was 3 years old. I could golf before I could walk, like that kind of stuff. But they found that the majority of people they interviewed had meandering careers. And they were all everyone who had the meandering career thought that they were the exception, thought they were the one that was, I know everyone else knows what they're doing instantly, but I kind of had to like, do my thing. And what they also noticed is about these specific kinds of successful people is they would prioritize personal fulfillment over what looks good on a resume or what looks cool or what you're supposed to do. I'm doing air quotes if you're listening and not watching. And they were more about short-term planning and exploration than, big long ass career path. But all this to say, a lot of people who do that end up being pretty successful, or at least a large percentage of people who are quote unquote successful, as we like to define it in our society, which is probably rich, I guess. I don't know. Tend to meander. So it's not about following a straight path, but experimentation, adapting, and personal fulfillment. So if you're out there thinking, what the fuck am I doing with my life? You might be doing pretty well. You might be doing all right. Was that last line as much for me as anyone else? Maybe. Maybe. Here's a little bit of advice that I think is important. I think I've already talked about this before, or at least I will talk to my friends about it. If you are a marginalized person, and I know this is going to sound fucking crazy, I am not saying don't push back, because that's fucking nuts. But I will say this. The other thing from, I read this book, Everyday Bias. I may have mentioned it in an earlier episode. And I wanted to come back to this because it really stuck in my goddamn brain. The book, can't remember the name of the author, mentioned this study that was done by Kaiser and Miller, 2001. So 2001, I don't know, maybe it's been 24 years, maybe people have changed. 23 years, pardon me, maybe people changed their outlooks, but the study was called Stop Complaining, the Social Costs of Making Attributions to Discrimination. So basically, the results were that when a stigmatized individual attributes a negative outcome to discrimination, observers tend to view them as a complainer, troublemaker, hypersensitive, or irritating, regardless of whether it's fucking accurate. This is the thing that we really have to take home. The person making the discrimination claim is rated less likable, less friendly, less intelligent, less responsible, less employable, with these negative impressions persisting even when discrimination is known to be likely. So even the people on your side are thinking/feeling this. Only attributions, I love this so much, to discrimination trigger these negative social consequences, by the way. Blaming external factors like test quality or job market conditions does not result in comparable social penalties. Observers interpret discrimination claims as signs that the person is avoiding personal responsibility or failing to take control, damaging their credibility, and leading to harsher social judgments. Targets often avoid attributing negative outcomes to discrimination due to presentation concerns, pardon me. They worry that such claims may backfire socially, even within their own communities, where they can be seen as tarnishing the group's image. So what is my point with this? What is my point? A few things. One, I'm sorry if you are a marginalized person and you're going through this and you're like, I feel like people are not taking me seriously when I complain or when I point out these very real things. You are correct. You are 100% correct. They are not taking you seriously. And that is also not your fault, to be clear. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm thinking is I've felt like we should be doing this. I'm sure other people felt we should be doing this. The point is, if you are not in the marginalized group, you need to be the one bringing it up, okay? So if you're white, you bring up anti-black racism or anti-Asian racism. If you are a dude, you bring up sexism and patriarchy. You do it, because it's not going to affect your thing. It's not going to affect your brand. People will take you seriously, yes? So this is what I'm saying. We almost got to I don't know, all the marginalized people should just email each other. Be like, look, I'll do your thing, you do my thing. And then the person who's across all of the marginalized group, you get to sit it out. You don't have to do shit. Enjoy your summer. Enjoy Pride. Enjoy Pride. A lot more than I'll enjoy it. It's early. It's early now. Calm down. Be optimistic. So you're telling everyone to be optimistic on an optimistic podcast. You get a little scratch at the back of your throat. You're fucking talking like all of June is over. you know what, guys? I'm going to keep an open mind. Guys, that's it. That is it for the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this recorded. I mean, I got a new recording set up, and I'm not 100% sure that it worked. Please remember to rate and review this podcast wherever you are listening to. I finally sorted myself out. I got my download numbers. Please be nice. Sign up to my newsletter. It's on my site, maybe in the bio of whatever you're listening to, wherever you're listening to this. I got a nice little newsletter. It's a monthly newsletter, so it's not going to be super intrusive. I like to throw in extra good news stories on the weeks. Well, it's going to be on the week that I don't have a podcast, and maybe a little bit about what's going on with me, but probably mostly just good news stories. You can follow me on socials at Niall Segay. I also do the Beaverton weekly report, which is another funny podcast. I also do comedy, Comedians and Dungeons and Dragons, which is my Dungeons and Dragons campaign podcast that I do with a bunch of hilarious comedians, and you should listen to it because it's fucking good. If you like, you can throw me some cash at my Buy Me a Coffee page or email me if you got some thoughts, totalannihilation@gmail.com. And that is it, guys. Remember, if you cannot be a shining example, be a terrifying warning. Let's get on three. 1, 2, 3.